The following statements is true. Number 1, all metals are solids. This statement is false because mercury is a shiny white metal commonly called as quicksilver, which is liquid at room temperature. Number 2, all metals are hard. This is also false because metals like sodium and potassium, they are soft in nature. They can be cut easily with a knife. Number 3, all non-metals are gases. This is also false because non-metals exist in all three states of matter. The majority are gases, a few are solids, except bromine, which is liquid at room temperature. Number 4, all non-metals are non-ductile. This is a correct statement because they will shatter or break if struck with a hammer. The word ductility means it is the ability of a material to be drawn into thin wires or deformed without fractures. As non-metals are non-ductile, they cannot be deformed into different structures. So, the correct answer is number 4. All non-metals are non-ductile in nature. The non-metal used in the purple colored solution applied on wounds as antiseptic is. The options are iodine, bromine, sulfur and chlorine. Out of these given non-metals, iodine is used to prepare tincture. Iodine is a natural, dark violet, a non-metallic element. It makes purple colored solution which is applied on cuts and wounds as an antiseptic. And also it is being used to kill bacteria and viruses. Tincture is a medicine made by dissolving a drug in alcohol. Tincture of iodine contain 2 to 7% of iodine along with sodium or potassium iodide dissolved in ethanol and water. Now the answer is number 1, iodine. Which of the following metals burns if kept in air? Number 1, magnesium. Number 2, zinc. Number 3, aluminium. Number 4, sodium. Sodium is a highly reactive element after potassium in the reactivity series. When sodium is exposed to air, it reacts with the components of the air. As it reacts with the air and catches fire immediately, it must be stored under oil. Usually, sodium is stored under kerosene. The answer is sodium. Magnesium hydroxide is used as reducing agent, anti-acid, fermentation agent, oxidizing agent. Magnesium hydroxide or milk of magnesia is alkaline. It can neutralize any acidic substance. So, it is an excellent anti-acid as it neutralizes excess stomach acid secreted by stomach. It is used as an antiacid to relieve indigestion and heartburn. Sometimes it is used to treat occasional constipation. So, which of the following gases burns with the pop-up sound? Number 1, hydrogen. Number 2, nitrous dioxide. Number 3, sulfur dioxide. Number 4, oxygen. Hydrogen is a gas that burns with a pop-up sound. The pop sound comes from the small explosion formed by the burning of hydrogen with oxygen. So, the answer is hydrogen. Which of the following metals is used in water purification? Number 1, iodine. Number 2, mercury. Number 3, aluminium. Number 4, chlorine. Chlorination is the process of adding chlorine to drinking water. Chlorine is used in water purification process to make drinking water supply germ-free. Chlorine kills pathogens by breaking their chemical bonds in their molecule. So, chlorine is used in water purification. The reactivity series of metals refers to the arrangement of metals in the descending order of their reactivities. This data can be used to predict metals' ability to displace another metal in displacement reaction. The reactivity series of metals is very important to answer questions based on the reactivity of the metals in chemical reaction and also to know the most and the least reactive metals. And remember this chart very easily by this trick. Sodium call maximum and minimum cars in contact on Christmas Day to invite team leaders of highly cooperating agencies to receive silver and gold medals. Which of the following metals is the most reactive metal? Number 1 potassium, number 2 iron, number 3 gold, number 4 silver. This is a direct question asked from the reactivity series. The most reactive metal is potassium. So the answer is number 1 potassium. The inner surfaces of food cans are coated with tin and not with zinc because number 1 zinc is costlier than tin, number 2 zinc is more reactive than tin, number 3 zinc has a higher melting point than tin, number 4 zinc is less reactive than tin. As I told earlier in the reactivity series, zinc is more reactive than tin. If you keep food in a zinc container, zinc will react with the food material. At last, food will get spoiled. In order to prevent this, food cans are coated with tin and not with zinc. The answer is number 2. Zinc is more reactive than tin. Which of the following elements must be available in a pond for tadpoles growth? Number 1 iodine, number 2 oxygen, number 3 nitrogen, number 4 chlorine. A tadpole is the larval stage in the life cycle of an amphibian. Tadpoles need iodine. The thyroid gland uses it to produce hormones necessary for the growth. Tadpoles growing in clean water provided with less amount of iodine is insufficient to produce hormones necessary to change from the tadpole stage to the frog stage. So, tadpoles should be provided with the iodine. The correct answer is iodine. When a copper plate is exposed to moist air for long, it acquires a dull green coating. The green material is due to number 1 copper sulfate, number 2 a mixture of copper hydroxide and copper sulfate, number 3 a mixture of copper carbonate and copper sulfate, number 4 a mixture of copper carbonate and copper hydroxide. When a copper plate is exposed to moist air for a long time, it acquires a dull green coating because copper reacts with components of air such as carbon dioxide and moisture and forms basic copper carbonate. It is a mixture of copper carbonate and copper hydroxide. As a result of this chemical change, green coating is formed on the surface of copper plate. The answer is number 4, a mixture of copper carbonate and copper hydroxide. Select from the following a set of 3 metals which are found in free state. Number 1 silver, gold and platinum. Number 2 aluminium, copper and silver. Number 3 gold, iron and silver. Number 4 copper, gold and iron. If you recall the reactivity series, you can find out the answer quickly. Since silver, gold, platinum are least reactive, they can be found in a free state. So that these metals are highly used in jewelry making process because these metals will not react with our body. The answer is number 1 silver, gold and platinum. Which of the following chemical compounds responsible for the temporary hardness of water? Number 1 magnesium carbonate, number 2 calcium chloride, number 3 magnesium sulfate, number 4 calcium bicarbonate. Temporary hardness of water is caused by bicarbonates of calcium and magnesium. Here the answer is calcium bicarbonate. Hard water is water that has high mineral content. This water will not give foam with soap. We can remove the hardness of this water by boiling the water. Non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature, basic in nature, amphoteric in nature, turn red litmus paper blue. Non-metals react with oxygen and form non-metallic oxides. When these non-metallic oxides react with water and give acids, so they are acidic in nature. Then these non-metallic acids can react with a base to give salt and water as a result of neutralization reaction. So the answer is number 1, non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Recently discovered most stable allotropes of carbon is number 1 C16, number 2 C60, number 3 C20, number 4 C56. The correct answer is C60, fullerene. Few elements exist in more than one physical forms with different physical properties but identical chemical properties. Those forms are called allotropes. The two most common allotropes of carbon are diamond and graphite. Newly discovered allotropes of carbon is called fullerene, C60. It is otherwise called as Buckminster fullerenes, C60. They are spherical carbon allotropes where 60 atoms are assembled in pentagons and hexagons in a geometry similar to saucer ball. So the newly discovered allotrope of carbon is fullerene. Bleeding is stopped by the application of alum to a wound because number 1, the wound is plugged by the alum chunk. Number 2, alum coagulates the blood and forms a clot. Number 3, alum reduces the temperature near the wound. Number 4, alum is an antiseptic. Alum is a transparent salt-like substance. It is useful in minor bleeding cuts in any part of the body. Alum is a coagulating agent. Whenever it is rubbed on the site of bleeding, it causes coagulation of the blood that stops bleeding. Thus, alum helps to control bleeding and accelerating the healing process. Number 2, alum coagulates the blood and forms a clot is the answer. That is why it is applied to a wound to heal it. Why do we use aluminium foils to wrap food items? Number 1, aluminium is a good conductor of heat. Number 2, aluminium is shiny in nature. Number 3, aluminium is the most reactive metal. Number 4, aluminium has high malleability. Aluminium metal has high malleability so that it can be easily transformed into thin aluminium foils because malleability is a physical property of a metal by which they can be hammered, shaped and rolled into very thin sheets without rupturing. These aluminium foils, they are very soft and does not react with food items so that we can use it to wrap food items. So the answer is number 4, aluminium has high malleability. When an iron nail is dipped in copper sulfate solution, the color of copper sulfate solution fades and a brownish layer is deposited over the iron nail. This is an example of number 1, combination reaction, number 2, decomposition reaction, number 3, single displacement reaction, number 4, displacement and redox reaction. According to the reactivity series, we learnt that iron is more reactive than copper. When an iron nail dipped in the copper sulfate solution, a brownish coating of copper is formed in the surface of iron. Iron displaces copper from the solution and forms ferrous sulfate, as it is more reactive than copper. Therefore, copper sulfate solution color changes from blue to pale green. Here, copper is displaced by iron. It is a single displacement reaction of one metal by another metal. The correct answer is number 3, single displacement reaction. Which among the following statements is true regarding metals? Number 1, metals do not possess the property of malleability. Number 2, they are good conductors of heat but not electricity. Number 3, metals have a metallic shine. Number 4, all the above. The first statement is completely wrong because metals, they possess the property of malleability. It is a physical property of metals by which they can be hammered, shaped and rolled into a very thin sheet without rupturing. So first statement is false. Second one, they are good conductors of heat but not electricity. It is also wrong. They are very good conductors of heat and electricity. Number 3, metals have a metallic shine. All the metals, they have a metallic shine. This is a true statement. The last one, all the above, it is also wrong. So the correct answer is metals have a metallic shine. Ozone is an allotrope of oxygen, an isomer of oxygen, a compound of oxygen, an isotope of oxygen. As we all know, the ozone layer found higher in the upper atmosphere shields us from much of the sun's ultraviolet radiation. Ozone is an allotrope of oxygen. Oxygen has more number of allotropes. The most familiar is molecular oxygen, present in the Earth's atmosphere and also known as dioxygen, O2. Another is the highly reactive ozone, that is O3. When this ozone reacts with other pollutants in the atmosphere, it is highly dangerous to human health. The answer is ozone is an allotrope of oxygen. Metal X displaces metal Y from its salt solution, but it is not able to displace metal Z from its salt solution. Identify the most reactive metal. Displacement reaction is a chemical reaction in which more reactive element displaces the less reactive element from its compound. In the first statement, metal X displaces metal Y from its salt solution. Here X is the reactive metal, but this X is not able to displace metal Z from its salt solution. It fails to displace Z. So Z is the most reactive metal. The answer is number 3, Z.